Welcome to episode number 226 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on April 27, 2018. Among the topics this week include race to replace Facebook, Flickr's freed, chocolate vinyl, stealth burgers, share of ear, podcast discovery, echoing insults, casual rudeness, advocacy fonts, and much, much more. And BL kicks it off with the best story of the week. As per usual, BL, what was that best story of the week?
I think this is a very interesting turn of events. Jason Calacanis, who was an early investor in Uber, is spearheading a contest to find a replacement for Facebook. He says Facebook is a destructive force in our society, and so he's willing to invest in finding a service that's actually good for society. As a matter of fact, he's willing to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars. So he's going to pick 20 finalists, and then from those finalists, there'll be 7 winners, and they'll be invited to join his launch incubator, where he will offer them 12 weeks of mentorship as they develop their social network. Teams, if you want to get in on this, teams have till June 15th to submit either a video tour, a prototype, or a full-blown product. And over the following 90 days, the 20 finalists will be whittled down to the 7 who get $100,000 each in return for a 6% share in their business, stake in their business, which is normal for VCs. So on the Open Book website, which is where this is taking place, it says, quote, is this a competition to see who can simply copy Facebook's current product, or a competition to come up with a new, novel way to beat the Facebook market? Yes, to both. In order to beat Facebook, we believe the winning team will have to not only build a base functionality that's similar to users who are familiar with looking at Facebook, but also provide new experiences that will make users passionate about the new product. It's not going to be easy, but startups never are, is what Calacanis said. And he said, this is not an idea for a business plan. It's not a competition of that sort. We want teams that will actually build the replacement, and we're judging them on their ability to execute. So what's amusing to me about this is that back in 2009, Calacanis issued an open message to Mark Zuckerberg in which he told him it was time to grow up. He said, you're a brilliant engineer who's building a level of mistrust with his users that is unprecedented and obnoxious. I will include that video in the show notes.
Well, mistrust with this, it's not back then. It might have been just with his users, the mistrust, but now it's mistrust with pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Certainly Facebook needs competition because there isn't any. As a pure social media platform, there's just no. I mean, Twitter is a different thing. Every other social type, Pinterest is a different thing. Every other social type platform is not the same thing as Facebook. And because Facebook dominates so much of our online time and behavior, and it definitely needs competition. So I'll be interested.
Well, we'll see how this turns out. I mean, Calacanis is, not a newcomer to new ideas and to succeeding. So right. If he's behind it, it's pretty good chance that it'll work.
Yeah. Well, one social media platform, early social media platform that I loved and still do actually, but has kind of stagnated as others have advanced, is Flickr. And Flickr was recently a USA Today article by Jessica Gwynn. So SmugMug's CEO, Don McCaskill, has told the paper that he's committed to breathing new life into Flickr. And Flickr, if you don't know, you should. But if you don't know, it is the first photo sharing social media site back in the day. It was very, very vibrant. It still is in certain aspects, but it's lost a lot of users since it was acquired by Yahoo and kind of ignored. So he's committed to breathing new life into it. He's going to maintain Flickr as a standalone community of amateur and professional photographers, and he says he's going to give the service the focus and resources it deserves. Flickr's fate has been in the air, the article reports, since Yahoo was bought by Verizon for $4.5 billion. And so nobody was really quite sure what was going to happen to Flickr in that acquisition. The traffic for Flickr has shrunk from back in the day. Flickr says it has more than 75 million registered photographers, has more than 100 million unique users, who post tens of billions of photos. In March, Flickr had 13.1 million unique visitors. That's up from 10.8 million a year earlier, according to ComScore. So hopefully they will breathe new life into it. I still have a Flickr account. I still use it. I use it to post photos. I use it to find Creative Commons photos for stuff I'm working on. It's a wonderful platform, but it has stagnated throughout the years and could use an influx of some energy and creative talent as well. So
I use it as well. I have tons of photographs there, and I even paid for it.
Yeah, so
but you have unlimited space on Flickr, and I think it's a wonderful platform. But most people don't seem to use it anymore.
Right.
So maybe they can bring it back. So Burger King is known from way back for some really crazy advertising that I've loved. And in Peru, Burger King came up with a way of sneaking Whoppers into movie theaters. And the movie theaters in Peru made a ruling that you could bring your own food, but it had to be similar to what they sell, which doesn't make any sense at all. But so what Burger King did was they unveiled a new King popcorn product, and it allows moviegoers to bring their own snacks in a hidden way. So Burger King hacked the Whopper into movie theaters with a concession item that has a layer of popcorn, and under that there's a Whopper and fries lower down in the container. And immediately it became a trending social media topic. It was featured on the news, and once movie theaters caught on, they tried to ban it. But the good news here is that there was a 40% increase in sales at Burger King's near the movie theaters during the stunt. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's still Burger King.
Well, it's still Burger King. I'm not going to eat it, but I like their marketing.
I am always waiting with great anticipation for the next round of research from Edison Research, who does fantastic work on a lot of things, but most pointedly on audio consumption, which is a growing form of content that obviously we as podcasters pay close attention to, but everyone should these days. So they have released a new round of research. Podcast Consumer 2018 is their report, and I'll give you some numbers to give you the latest intel on podcast listeners. So American weekly podcast listeners, the audience they identify as 48 million people. The mean number of hours they spend listening to podcasts is 6 hours and 37 minutes a week, and average 7 podcasts a week. So that's for weekly podcast listeners. Now, for monthly podcast listeners, Americans, 76% of them most often use a mobile device, a smartphone, tablet, portable device to listen to their podcasts on. 82% of them listened at home, 58% in a car or a truck, 41% walking around, 34% at work, 29% while working out, and 28% while riding public transit. So I fall into almost all of those, actually most of them. How much they listen to? 43% listen to the entire episode. 44% listen to most of the episode, and only 10% listen to less than half. That's kind of surprising to me. But it might be kind of the intimacy that podcasts generally have. You're listening in on a conversation that might be more compelling for most people. 19% increase the speed of the podcast. So I do this all the time. Play it at 1.5 speed to get through more of the content more quickly. It turns out the younger you are, the more likely you are to do this. The more podcasts you listen to, the more likely you are to do that. Awareness of smart speakers. Monthly podcast listeners are more likely than the general population to be aware of smart speakers. 86% are aware of the Echo. Versus 71% of the general population. 72% are aware of the Google Home versus 56% of the general population. Monthly podcast listeners are much more likely to own a smart speaker. 3 in 10 do. 17% of smart speaker owners regularly listen to podcasts on their device. 24%, that's all of smart speaker owners, but 24% of podcast consumers who own a smart speaker regularly listen to podcasts on their device. There's a reason that's so low. You'd think it'd be higher, but it's just difficult to listen to podcasts on smart speakers. You think about the Echo, you kind of need a skill built to listen to it. Percentage of audio time, to wrap this up, all Americans, this is fascinating. 50% of all Americans listen to their audio time. 50% of their audio time for all Americans is devoted to AM/FM radio. 16% of their time is for streaming audio, 14% for owned music, 8% for Sirius XM, 5% for TV music channels, and 4% for podcasts. Now, podcast listeners, by comparison, 25% of their time is devoted to AM/FM radio, from 50% for all Americans, right? So that's half. 14% is devoted to streaming audio, 15% to own music, 5% to Sirius XM, 5% to TV music channels, and 33% to podcasts. That's their number one source of audio for podcast listeners. So if you listen to podcasts, your habits are changing in your audio consumption drastically as a result of your listening to podcasts. Podcast share of ear has doubled in 4 years. So changing of media habits as a result of podcasts. So marketers really need to pay attention to podcasting as a tool.
In terms of marketing, podcasts let you talk directly into the heads of your listeners.
Right.
Nothing else does that. And it gives you a kind of credibility because there's inflection in your voice and, the personality that comes through that you don't get from reading anything. You never will. And I'm very encouraged by these numbers, and,
Right.
and they're only going to grow, But here's one that's really crazy. Speaking of things that are odd, Kellogg's, Corn Flakes, they made a playable record from chocolate frosted flakes. They're releasing this edible and playable record that plays the new release Hello from the boy band Pretty Much. Now, I'm probably too old for Pretty Much, but Pretty Much released a new music video for Hello, which is on YouTube, and it features Tony the Tiger. It's a seriously insipid song. It's available for download on iTunes, and in this video, they eat cereal in their pajamas and breakdance with Tony the Tiger. The record was created with layers of chocolate frosted flakes and milk and dark chocolate, and there's a silhouette of Tony the Tiger made from the cereal, pressed into it. The limited edition record was pressed in a 3D printed mold to create grooves so it's playable. It doesn't come with a needle to replace the one you ruined playing the chocolate record. So fans can get their own free chocolate frosted flakes record at Kellogg's New York City Cafe in Times Square. And those who registered with Pretty Much in advance could meet the band and receive the record at the cafe on April 19th. So what they're really doing is they're tapping into several marketing trends that appeal to young people. Limited edition branded merchandise, music videos, and experiential engagements. All of these things are appealing. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes is also jumping on the growing popularity of vinyl records among younger generations who are into nostalgia, and that's been going on for 10 years. And sales of vinyl LPs reached 13 million in 2016, which was an all-time high since 1991, according to Nielsen data. So, if you're into boy bands who have silly lyrics and you want to eat a chocolate record, this is for you.
Yeah, or wreck your turntable.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what's going to happen. They have to give you a new needle. Then you can lick the chocolate off the turntable. Anyway.
Frosted Flakes are pretty good, though. I'd probably eat mine.
That's gross. Do you have another?
I'm tapped out.
Do you have another, Dave?
I do not.
Well, I'm also encouraged, speaking of podcasting, by Google's new, rather amazing new podcast strategy. And this is from a 5-part series in Pacific Content by Steve Pratt. And it's an exclusive, and it's about how Google is planning to make podcasting a real first-class citizen. Google's podcast product manager, Zach Renaud-Whedon, said this approach is expected to vastly expand podcast audiences. And in addition to everything you would expect from a podcast app, shows and episodes are also, this is the cool part, integrated with Google Search and Google Assistant. So in the long term, podcasts will show up alongside text, image, and video results that you're used to viewing. And your podcast listening experience will be seamless across all devices thanks to Google Assistant. Google's speech and language understanding will also open doors to more features as we go along. And right now, this approach is separate from Google Play, but it will eventually be integrated into it. And the first version of the new podcast is available through Google Search on Android only and Google Assistant. And so the search results include a list of recent episodes, and you have play buttons right on the list. And on more episodes, you see a full episode list, the option to subscribe, the ability to add and manage multiple subscriptions. And when you tap Add to Home Screen, you get a podcast shortcut for quick access in the future, which is so cool. And the podcast shortcut leads you to a personalized podcast home base, essentially an app, where all your subscriptions and episodes can be found. There's also sections listing top podcasts, trending podcasts, and a variety of content categories like comedy, science, etc. The recommendations are partially based on your subscription and will continue to get more customized as time goes on. But what's even better is that Google syncs your subscriptions and episodes across all your devices, just like Netflix. So you can easily go between your Google Home and your Android device, and Google will pick up exactly where you left off, no matter what device you're on. And he calls this device interoperability. Over time, it will expand to every surface where you use Google. So, that's just a wonderful turn of events for podcasting, and sure to increase exponentially the global audience. And, Google has tried so many things that they made great and then took away. I hope this one's here to stay.
Yeah, I found those articles fascinating. I'm glad you put them in the show notes because I definitely wanted to talk about them. And we have been talking about the missed opportunity for Google with podcasting for a long time, many episodes.
Exactly.
You have been seeing over the past 6 months or so changes in the search results that include more podcast elements. I've seen the carousel of podcasts when I do a lot of podcast research for our public relations firm, and often come across the lists of podcasts that in the carousel format for in Google search results. So there are very specific things that you need to do. There's technical requirements that you need to do to code your pages to include to get in those search results. But also, I mean, you think about Google has indexed the world's content. What it hasn't indexed is the world's audio content. They have the technology, you would think, given their experience with YouTube, which has a lot of audio in it. And there's probably a lot of, we're recording right now directly to YouTube. So there's podcast content in YouTube itself that they can avail themselves with. They've got the Google Play Store with people including their podcasts. But you would be able to extract the content from the audio and index that and show that in search. Then they have Google AdSense to inject ads, audio ads into podcasts, and they have Google Analytics, which nobody has has decent analytics for podcasting. If Google can provide that, they're going to curry favor with all the podcasters of the world.
It's going to be really helpful, and I think that this will be soon available for iOS, I hope, as well. But it's a big advance. It really is.
Okay.
So the last one that I have in the best things of the week is it's really kind of sad but exciting. It's the ability to turn social media posts into letters to Congress, and you do this using a shooting victim's handwriting. This is from an Adweek story by Eric Oster. It's very easy to vent your frustrations on Twitter and Facebook about politics and gun control, but the ephemeral nature of social media means that these posts are either ignored or soon forgotten. I mean, they go by so fast. And so the impetus behind this project is Change the Ref and Area 23, which is an ad agency, and they have turned posts into letters, an initiative that transforms your posts into handwritten letters mailed to members of Congress. It allows you to either print out and mail the post yourself or have it done automatically thanks to a partnership with Imagination International. So how it works is you go to the site and it picks up your most recent tweet, and you can go and find other tweets that you would like to send to your congressional representative. You put in your zip code, it comes up with the name of the person, and it prints it. The project is particularly personal for Manuel Oliver, because he's the co-founder of Change the Ref along with his wife Patricia, and they donated the handwriting of their son, Joaquin Oliver, who was one of the 17 people killed during February's mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. And Tim Hawkey, who's one of the executives, he's an executive vice president at Area 23, he said, this is sort of the era of slacktivism. You see a lot of social media posts, but you don't see a lot of people putting pen to paper or getting up and doing things. And so the idea of people donating their handwriting for the initiative was what motivated the Joaquim's father to come up with the handwriting of his son. And so he went through enough of the son's notebooks to find enough handwriting samples to build a font that allows people to use them. And he said the courage that Manuel has to take his son's handwriting and turn it into a vehicle for people to express their concerns and demands to their government is a very brave thing to do, is what Hawkey said. And the initiative is going to be supported by paid social placements, full-page ads in local papers in districts where we can actually stand to affect change. And the ads will also function as letters you can tear out and mail to a representative. And 25,000 letters have already been sent to the end of Congress spring recess, so when the representatives returned, piles of letters were on their desks. And so the father said, I've been an artist my whole life. When this happened, I found that through art, I could give a voice to my son, that he could still fight for his rights, for his friends' rights. Me and my wife feel better knowing that Joaquim is out there through art. It's a really very moving initiative. And when I tried it, I was quite surprised by how well it worked.
Oh, that's very cool. Oh.
Brings us to bad news, huh?
Yes, it does. I thought that was bad news.
Well, no, it's kind of a way of turning bad news into a force for good.
That's right. So I got one bad news article here. This is from an Atlantic article by Ken Gordon, who he was talking about his teenage son. I'm just going to read a passage to get you going here. My wife and I have expended much time and energy ensuring that when Ari, their son, speaks, he does so respectfully and intelligently. But he can speak to echo without any consideration at all. Please or thank you are never involved. In fact, polite words would just get in the way. That's kind of the setup for the article, in which he goes on to worry about whether the smart speakers are basically could lead to a decline in manners. And you know how much I love my smart speakers, BL, but it prompted the same. It was a thoughtful article, so I wanted to include it. So kids who live with an Echo or other smart speakers have access to a digital genie, the article argues, and ask what the consequences might be of giving a child this voice-activated magic lamp with no limit on the wishes and no consequences for exceeding the allotted amount. Commands, the article points out, usually sting the recipients. And with Echo, there's no sting at all, right? There's no reaction that you can understand if you insult or hurt someone when you're talking to a machine. So he wonders if this crucial absence could result in a growing empathetic blind spot in those who use it. So, you think about it, we shape our machines, but just as much our machines shape us. I always tell the story of how I was walking down the street one day after work, thinking about what the weekend was going to be like, and practically blurted out to the air, Echo, what's the weather forecast for the weekend, right? Without even thinking about it. I almost reflexively respond by thanking my Echo after it answers a question for me. But I've been brought up that way without Echo in my life from the beginning. What will children do if they don't have any expectations that they need to treat their machines well, right? With the common courtesy and manners and politeness that we're taught to treat other humans with. So what does that conditioning lead to a deterioration of manners in actual humans? Maybe it is an issue because Amazon is releasing an Echo Dot for children that encourages them to use the word please. That's according to a Recode article by Jason Del Rey. It's going to come out in May 20th, I guess, but it may be something that Amazon is trying to get in front of.
Well, Apple's way ahead on that one, because if you say something really rude to Siri, she'll say, she's been known to say, "That's not nice, BL," or to say, "I'm sorry, I can't answer that." And so I think that the programming at Apple might be a little bit better than what's going on at Amazon Echo.
Not really, because Siri sucks.
Well,
Siri is just not nearly as good as
used to be.
Not nearly as good as either Echo or Google Home.
I don't agree.
Well, so, how would you know?
How would I know? I know people who have Amazon Echo. So now there's another Amazon Echo story. I wanted Dave to turn his off so that I could use the name, but I'm not allowed to do that. This is from Business Insider story by Avery Hartmans. And you can now customize your Amazon Echo to have it say personalized compliments, jokes, trivia, or roast your friends. So they released a new feature last week that lets you create what they call personalized Echo skills, called skill blueprints. The feature's open to anybody with an Echo device. You can create custom content like quizzes, jokes, games, and instructions for babysitters or house guests. And so when you say things like, "Who's the best looking member of the family?" it will answer with a custom response. So here's an example of one of her nasty things. Echo, open my burns. And she says, "You again? Well, as long as you're here, you're my favorite person besides every other person I've ever met." And that's how nasty she gets. So there's also a first-time users who've been able to make their own skill set, and there's pre-made templates, so you don't have to be a developer to do them. And they only appear on devices registered to your Amazon account. But, I frankly think this is, I kind of rather have a talking parrot.
So yeah, an Amazon that is an Echo that is teaching people to be rude and
yeah, exactly, exactly. So maybe they're going to be teaching kids to say please, and meanwhile adults are insulting their friends. Right. I don't think that's a good thing.
Works at cross purposes, doesn't it?
really. I mean, there's something wrong with this. So does that bring us to shiny new stuff?
It does. What do you got?
Well, I'm an early user of MoviePass, and for $9.95 a month until last week, you could go to the movies every single day on that same $9.95 a month. And everybody wondered, like, how is that sustainable? How are they going to make any money doing that? And so, just a couple days ago, they changed it to you can go to one movie a week for your $9.95. Now that's still pretty cool because movies, at least in New York, are $15 and up. And so for my $10, I can go to 4 movies, and clearly I'm still saving money. But how long will we be able to go to 4? Is it going to go down to 2? So it was not a sustainable form of business.
Yeah, it suddenly dawned on them that maybe their business model wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, I think the money in movies is at the popcorn stand anyway. I'm not sure it's in the theater admissions, but I'm sure you have the same thing we do, where there's like these really comfortable seats and you can lounge in them. And at the end of the movie, the people have to go around and say, "The show's over, folks," because everybody's like, "Oh."
Yeah,
some of them, they feed you. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, Pam didn't like it. She's like, the seats are too big. What?
The seats they're too big and they're too soft. Yeah. But I mean, I think they're fabulous. But anyway, so what have you got?
This is fascinating. This is from a digital trends article by Luke Dormel. He reports on something called Wall++. This is from researchers at Carnegie Mellon University and Disney Research that have figured out how to transform normal walls into smart, touch-sensitive surfaces using conductive paint and low-cost electronics. So the Wall++ walls are made smart by using painter's tape to create a crisscross pattern. And it's covered with 2 layers of conducive paint. Conductive paint. Come on, David.
I like that tonight.
Exactly. To create a diamond-shaped electro pattern. The tape is then removed and electrodes are connected. The wall is painted with a top coat of standard latex paint to improve its durability and to hide the electrodes. So the finished electrode wall can either function as a giant capacitive touchpad or an electromagnetic sensor for picking up the signature of different devices. Can be used from everything from creating virtual buttons to identifying which devices are being used in a room at a time. But I was thinking about it. We have walls. We can write on our walls at work, right? So we have a bunch of wall space, and we do brainstorming on the walls. And I write out wireframes for websites and everything on the walls. I would love for the walls to record all that activity, right? So this could be the answer, but pretty cool. There's a video that's showing demonstration of it that we'll include in the show.
That's so interesting. Yeah. So you wouldn't want to use that at home for anything, would you? It would be more something.
I'd love to be able to write on the walls at home. Like kind of...
Well, it's your house. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. So I see you have a project.
I do, yeah. So I've been meaning to include this in previous episodes. I just have forgotten, but we do at the end of the month a roundup post of the latest marketing research reports, surveys, polls, and trends on our agency blog. And so, so we've just published the most recent one. I'll include a link to the show notes. It's a great resource for marketers. But we have a weekly newsletter that you can subscribe to if you don't want to miss any and be reminded of it. But just want to throw that in there. And speaking
great
of research,
newsletter, and you really should get it.
Thank you.
Yes. So I have a little project too, and it's Fun Walkers, and Mother's Day is right around the corner. And if you have a relative, a mother or a grandmother, or maybe an aunt who uses an assistive device like a walker or a rollator, the perfect gift for them is a Fun Walkers license plate. And go to my website at funwalkers.com, and you can pick from scores of funny sayings, or if you hurry up, you can do your own, and we can make you a custom one. But you got to hurry for that.
And they're wonderful conversation starters. So if you get one, you have it on your walker. People are going to notice it and start a conversation with you about it because they're so clever. So Very cool. Let's wrap this up. Daily numbers. Amazon Prime numbers have finally been released. Amazon finally released numbers on how many Prime subscribers there are. And this is from a Recode article by Ronnie Mola. And so let's, by comparison, HBO has 142 million subscribers. Netflix has 125 million subscribers. Amazon Prime, 100 million subscribers. So that's the new news they just announced. We finally know what the audience for Amazon Prime is. Spotify has 71 million. Apple Music has 40 million. Sirius XM has 27.5 million. Hulu has 17 million. Pandora, 5.5 million. The New York Times, 3 million. And that's about it. So pretty interesting numbers there.
Yeah, and now what they're going to do is they're going to raise the price of Prime from $99 to $119. And since we all buy everything on Amazon, as my friend Francine Hardaway noted today, we're frogs in the hot water pot. No, we're not going to go away.
Yeah, well,
it's going to pay more.
It's still worth it.
It's worth it. The problem. If you buy a lot of stuff from them, and
you watch the movies, you listen to the music, you have storage space.
Yeah,
it's all of that.
Yeah, I mean, they have enough, revenue streams that they could keep that at $99. It was a bargain at $79, $119. It's like costly. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 226 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And links to everything we discussed will be on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com/226. And you will find David Erickson on Twitter. He's at @DErickson. He blogs at estrategyblog.com. And his agency blog, creativepr.com/blog. And really, you should subscribe to both of those. He's on YouTube as eStrategy. I am BL Ochman. On Twitter, I am at What's Next. I blog at What's Next blog. I'm What's Next blog on YouTube. My business site is blochman.com, and funwalkers.com is my funny license plate site. The show, beyondsocialmediashow.com on the web. On YouTube, on Twitter, we're BS Media Show. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Amazon Echo, and iHeartRadio. And so you can easily find us, and we will be back next week, same time, same station. Thank you for watching tonight.
Thanks for watching.